Okay, right. So 45, 46, or 45, 46, and I think 48 are all very similar. So they're talking about this idea of joint costing. I will have to flick to a new page. Well, I don't think I'll have to actually for this one. I think I can put it all on one page. So this issue here is this. Think of it like this, that when you're making something, and that's going to go on to other processes. So for example, you pour in a lot of few chemicals into this vat, this big basin, and then you would have spent, and then what you have is you have two products coming out, product A and product B. You've spent some money here. I mean, these guys are going to go on and undergo some further processing, right? Some further processing. The question here is, well, fair enough, if I want to know what the final costs are of A, I mean, this has become specific to A, these further processing costs. This has become specific to B. The question here is, how do I deal with this initial cost? How do I split this initial cost, really, between A and B, so that I can then get the full cost for A, so to speak? Because when I split this, I can give A its own cost and I can give B its own cost. But I need to split it, really, yes? So that's what this is really about. The question is, how do we split these costs? And so I will go to a new page. So this question is sort of saying, okay, it's saying that a manufacturing process leads to the creation of two joint products, A and B, for example. Here's M and N, and which are separated at the end of the process, like what you sales do here. Costs are apportioned on the basis of the sales value. So when they say sales value, the sales value of what's come out. So you have 6,000 units of M come out and 15,000 units of N also come out. So we're really interested in the sales value. We're splitting those costs on the value of their selling price. I mean, you could have split it based on their weight. So you could have said, I don't know, 10,000 pounds could have been spent, and you could say, well, say if 6,000 units came out and 15,000, we're going to split it on the basis of 6 over 15. Sorry, 6 over 21 and 15 over 21, right? Basically ratios 6 to 15. But they're telling us to use their selling value, not their value, the value of the items that have come out. So I'm just going to go to a new page, right? And then just sort of do it here. So really what they're telling us here is that if you look at this question in terms of the value, what we have here is that we see product M came out with 6,000 units, and that's the selling price of each of those units is £30. So the key point here is that just because you had less units come out doesn't mean that you didn't use that. You probably didn't use that resource more. You probably did. It's you're just telling it's not driven by volume per se. It's driven on value. So here we have 18,000, and then for N we have 15,000 units, and that's at selling price of £10, which is 15,000. So this is the value, if you like, that has come out. The question is, I don't know, the cost could have been £10,000 in terms of initial spend in that VAT. The question is, how am I going to split this £10,000? And they're telling us to use the value. So I'm splitting it on the ratio 18 to 15, which is technically 18 over 33 to 15 over 33. So the question is, what should I apportion to M? And 18 over 33 gives us a nice sort of 54 point something %, which is roughly 55%. And so your answer is C. Your answer is C for this one. Okay, great. So that's, yeah, I'll keep that. Let's then move on to the next question. So here the answer is C. So let's move nicely on. So hopefully that gives you the foundation for understanding how we deal with this. So again, like I'm sure you're reading the question before you're looking at what I'm doing. Now they actually give us what the joint cost is. And like I said, that these things have value at that split-off point before we actually carry on with further processing. And that's the price here. But you could carry on with the further processing and sell right at the end, which is what's happening here. So let's look at what's going on here. So it's telling us that using the sales value at the split-off point as the basis for apportioning the joint cost, which we did in question 45, what would be the profit earned by each product? So they want us to actually finish each process. So just because of time, I'm just going to do product A, but you'll see the same thing applies to product B and C, because we can get the answer, because they're all very different answers, which is very good. So once you get one, you've kind of got the rest. So what are we saying here? They're telling us, just focusing on product A, they are telling us that currently we have a joint cost of 38,025. Right, so what does that mean? So you made 12,000, you had 12,000 kilograms come out there, and you had 9,000 kilograms, and you had 5,000 kilograms. But they're telling us that out of this VAT, that's what happened. This came out 12, 9, and 5. But they're telling us don't use the weight, use their value at that time. And their value at that time would have been, I'd have to multiply this by the split-off point costs, 0.75. This is the value of these things at that point. This is their value when they come out. So in terms of doing this, let's look at this. So 12,000 times 0.45 is 5,400. 9,000 times £1.80 is 16,200. And 5,000 times 0.75 is 3,715. So really, I need to split this thing, 38,025, in this ratio. That's the issue here. So, I mean, I'm just going to do this as you would do any ratio analysis. 5,000, basically I'm saying 5,400 divided by 5,400 plus 16,200 plus 3,750. So doing that, that's 5,400 plus 16,200 plus 3,750, and that's 25,350. So that's 5,400 divided by 25,350. So I multiply this by, of course, the 38,025 to know what portion product A would be taking. So 5,400 divided by 25,350 times 38,025 takes us to 8,100. So I know A will be given a cost of 8,100. Well, let's look at the question. It says that the question says that you need further processing costs for A of 6,000. So now I know I have a total of 14,100 for making this thing. Okay, great. So that's what I know. Then it tells me that I can sell each of these kilograms. I'm selling each of these kilograms, these 12,000 kilograms, at £3 once they're now finished the process. And that's 36,000. So the question here is, what's my profit? That's what the question is asking. Well, it'll be 36,000 less 14,100. 36,000 less 14,100 takes me nicely to 21,900. And so you have to apply the same thing to B and C. So I know my answer is A already because I have 21,900. But for B, you would literally do 16,200 divided by 25,350 times the 38,025 to find out what its own joint cost is in terms of the initial first process. Then add on its further processing cost of 7,000, and then you would have the full cost now, and you can now subtract that from, it's telling you can sell each of them for £7. So you have, if you like, 9,000 kilograms is what you're selling, so that's 63,000 minus that full cost, and you should get the answers as you carry on. Great, and that, if you like, is question. So this is coming up to 10 minutes. So what I'll do is I will, that's question 46, and so I'll stop there, and then I'll do question 48 on its own. Okay, great stuff.